to the left and open the first left box of right.
Family and friends, if you could please gather under the canopy or around the canopy. Just a gentle reminder, if anybody has a phone, please take a moment to turn it on silent. In a few moments, we are going to begin the service for Marsha D. Erenberg. Officiating our service today is Rabbi Leonard Matenki.
Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai Roi Lo Echsar, Bino Desha Yarbitzeni Al Mei Menuchot Yinahaleni, Nafshi Yeshovev Yancheni B'Maglei Tzedek Leman Shemo, Gam Ki Elech B'Geit Tzal Mavet Lo Yirara Ki Ata Imadi, Shiftecha U'Mishantecha Hema Yinachamuni, Taroch Lefanai Shulchan Neged Sorerai, Yishanta Vashemen Roshi Kosi Revaya, Achto B'Chesed Yerdefuni Kol Yemei Chayai, V'shavti b'veit Adonai liorech yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai mi yagur bo alecha, mi yishkon bahar kodshecha, hulech tamim ufoel tzedek, v'dover emet b'levavo. Lo ragala l'shono, lo asal re'eu ra'ah, v'cherpa lo nasal krovo. Nivze be'enav nimas v'tirei Adonai yechabed, nishba laharav lo yamir, kaspo lo natan b'neshech, v'shochad al naki lo lakach, ose'ele lo yimot le'olam, shir l'ma'alot, esaynai el'arim ma'in yavo ezri, ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz, al yitein lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha, hinei lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael, Adonai shomerecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha, Yomam HaShemesh lo yakeka v'yareach b'layla, Adonai yishmorcha mikol ram, yishmor et nafshecha, Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha, me'ata v'yad olam. Rabbi Nassan of Rimanov was one of the great disciples of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. And based on Rabbi Nachman's teaching, he composed hundreds of personal prayers, one of which, number 54, contains the following phrase, Ha'olam hazeh over k'heref ayin. This world passes in the blink of an eye, which when I was younger I never fully understood. Yet when Shana called me yesterday to tell me that Marsha had passed away, the very first image that came to mind was a picture in my parents' wedding album of two flower girls, twins, who were about 4 years old, Marsha of blessed memory, and Tiboda L'chaim Tovim V'arukim, Jerry. That picture was taken a long time ago. And yet, in so many ways, it's as if that moment was yesterday, of the twins, together, as always. Over the course of the day, there were so many other memories of Marsha when I was growing up in the apartment above the Erenbergs, and the memories of her stepping up, helping us and so many other people whenever they needed it, being there for us when we had to rebuild our home after a fire, and being part of every family celebration and gathering. Each and every memory seemed as if it was just yesterday, as if I could blink and just bring everything back of when she cared for her parents, Auntie Lynn and Uncle Normie, of when she and Gary were a couple caring for each other, of her as the doting aunt, loving sister, the cousin we grew up with, and the one so many people relied upon. But I know it wasn't just yesterday. And I know that for the past 9 years, Marsha has battled injury and illness and relied more and more on the family, especially on Stevie and Shayna. But she hung on. She was always fine, even when she wasn't. And she was always there, until yesterday when she wasn't. In this week's parasha, we read the second chapter of the Shema, where we're told that the land of Israel would be ours, kimei shamayim ala aretz, like the days of the heaven over the earth. What does that phrase mean? Rabbi Yechiel Michal Mushkin once explained that it's another way to express a sense of eternity, because despite the clouds that may obstruct our view, the heavens will always be above the earth, kimei shamayim ala aretz, which is precisely the prayer I have for all of my dear cousins, for Jerry and Johnny, for Steve and Shayna and all of their kids, Marsha's cherished nephews and nieces, great-nephews and great-nieces. For while it's true that life can pass, can change in the blink of an eye, one thing never disappears, and that's the love that Marsha had for all of you and all of you for her. That love will always remain, even when the tears of today may obstruct your view. It and all of the beautiful memories we share will always be there, just as the heavens will always be above the earth. And so, my dear cousin Masha Devora Bat Binyamin, as you're brought to your final resting place alongside your parents and near so many other beloved members of our family, I pray that you be a good debater for all of us. May the memories of your chesed and your caring, your love and your warmth inspire us and keep us close. And may your soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. Tehei nishmata tzura b'tzror hachayim. And now we'll hear from Jerry and then from Ben.
Thank you all for coming. I came into this world 9 minutes ahead of the most wonderful person I know. She always loved her family. Lenny said to me yesterday, Jerry, I don't want you to speak from the top of your head. You have to write everything down. So I have to wear my glasses, and I forgot my sunglasses in Philadelphia. So I'm doing the best that I can. Being a twin is very special, but made more special when you had a twin like Marsha. She was always taking care of me. And she loved when we moved to Albany Park, because we had cousins. The Matenkis lived upstairs, and we had the Marks that lived downstairs, and we had Auntie Claire and Uncle Jack. And of course, we had Kalman. Kalman, by the way, was the original seatbelt. When my mother had to learn how to drive, Kalman had to sit in the back seat and hold Marsha on one side and Jerry on the other side. Kalman was always our backup. When we had to go to school and the snow was too high, who was called? Kalman. Trudy had her kids, and Ellen was away at school, but there was Kalman. And Marsha adored all of our cousins, and we were so close with them that it was wonderful. And Marsha always wanted to do the best that she could. She was really remarkable. When Donna got married, and again we were, the flower girls. That was our place in life, being everybody's flower girls, because we were the only twins. So when Stephen got married, she was so thrilled because she knew that there was going to be more babies for her to take care of. So I got married 10 months later. She was really waiting for all these babies to come. Steve and Shana had a long time to wait. Shana was a baby when they got married, and I was an old lady already. So I made sure that Marsha had children to play with. So Leah was born, and then Barry was born, and then finally Shana came through with Miriam. Finally. So Marsha actually didn't have to come to Philadelphia. She could actually stay home and fuss over Miriam. And then my son David came, and then came Daniel. Boy, did she love Daniel. And then, like 3 years later, came Ben. And then Josh was a surprise to all of us, and he came. So she had a full load, not only in Philadelphia when she came to visit, but in Chicago. And there's so many stories about how much she loved the kids in Chicago. And Steve had Shana and Steve allowed Marsha to be so much a part of their life. Shana started Keshet, and my father would come there. So who was left to take care of Daniel and Ben? And it was Marsha. And this was the greatest time for her. She would tell me stories of what she would do with them. And I said, "You didn't tell Shana, did you?" And she said, "Well, I think the boys might have told Shana." But she said, "I didn't tell her." And they had a lot of escapades. And then, the kids get older, and then Miriam got married, and she had more babies to love. And then Barry had babies. And one of the things was, with Marsha, I never wanted to be a Bubby. We had a Bubby, but I didn't want to be Bubby. Bobby Ida was loved by everyone in the family and was accepted. Bobby Ida was my father's mother. So Dylan went to Hebrew school, or went to preschool, and so many of the kids were talking about their Bubbies. I'm his Mimi, because I didn't want to be a Bubby. So he kept saying, "I really want a Bubby." So we decided, Barry and I, that Dylan would call Marsha up. And Dylan called Marsha and goes, "Auntie Marsha, could you be Bubby?" She was so thrilled to be his Bubby. So Ryan and Dylan didn't have an Auntie Marsha, which everybody can tell you about how wonderful Auntie Marsha was. Ryan and Dylan had a Bubby. That was Bubby Marsha. And whenever she came to Philadelphia, Bubby Marsha would either babysit, or she would take them shopping, or she would do whatever she could to show them how much she loved them. And she loved all the children, and she adored her family. Family was number one with her. So there's so many stories that I could tell you about Marsha, But, you know, it's too long to go into detail. If you ever want to hear a story, I'll tell you one. I'm here until Sunday, so, you know, we can sit and talk. But I had the best time with my sister. We didn't always get along, but we always had a good time. And that was the best. And I loved her more than I can say. And she will always be in my heart. And that's my beloved sister, who I'm 9 minutes older than.
Thank you, Jerry. Hi guys, I'm Ben. I'm one of Marsha's nephews, or as she referred to me as, her boo. I had a very close relationship with my Auntie Marsha. We spent every Shabbos and holiday with her. We also spent almost every Sunday together when she babysat my siblings and me. A typical Sunday began with Ed eating spaghetti and meatballs for breakfast, followed by watching wrestling recaps from the week before on her lap and playing with her dogs. Then we would go to Ken's Diner for lunch. It was a healthy weekly tradition. We usually ended the day at Toys R Us for the latest Nerf or water gun. Marsha also loved taking my brother, Daniel, and our friends to wrestling events at the Rosemont Horizon. Marsha was known for her famous beef jerky. She loved making it and always insisted on bringing us some. Marsha would send me to Camp Mosheva with a really large bag of beef jerky, which sometimes I would end up selling scraps of for big prices to other campers. When our parents were out of town, we always had a blast with Marsha as our babysitter. She would take us to school late, make us whatever food or junk we asked for. Sometimes my siblings and I would tell Marsha we weren't feeling well and we wanted to stay home. Marsha never took our temperature to confirm that we were sick, to take the day off to hang out. I truly have nothing but the fondest childhood memories of my Auntie Marsha. When I was older, our bond continued with our weekly calls once I went to Israel in college. When I began working in real estate, our relationship evolved into the next level. As you may know, Marsha worked in real estate for longer than I've been alive and was always a good source of knowledge to bump ideas off of or lend me some of her expertise. We talked shop often, sometimes talking for several hours or until her phone died. She loved hearing about my life, what I was doing, and loved trading war stories with me. She was supportive in all my decisions and always fully listened, even when I thought she wasn't paying attention. She would surprise me by asking me questions about previous topics to check in on how things were going on said matters. When I began dating Danielle and brought her to meet the family, she and Marsha hit it off immediately. We loved meeting her for brunch and dinner in the city and having her over to visit the kids. Marsha truly loved being with my siblings, cousins, and me. She treated all of her nieces, nephews, great-nieces, and great-nephews like we were her own kids and loved spoiling us all. Once I had my own kids and Marsha would come visit us, she never came empty-handed. She always came with a giant bag of toys and 2 bags of clothes every time. I know I speak for my siblings and my cousins when I say that we loved her so much and we were going to greatly miss her. Marsh, I miss you so much already, and all of our talks. I'm so grateful for our close relationship, and I love you with all my heart.
אל מלא רחמים שוכן במרומים, המצאים מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע המזהירים, לנשמת משה דבורה בת בנימין שלחה לעולמה, בעבור שמשפחתה נודרים צדקה בעד הזכרת נשמתה, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה. לכן אבל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצור בצרור חיים את נשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר אמן. מה אהבתי תורתך כל היום היא שיחתי, מאויבי תחכמני מצוותיך כי לעולם היא לי. מכל מלמדי השכלתי כי עדותיך שיחה לי. מזקנים אתבונן כי פקודיך נצרתי. מכל אורח רע קליתי רגלי למען אשמור דבריך, ממשפטיך לא סרתי כי אתה הוריתני. מה נמלצו לחיקי אמרתך מדבש לפי, פקודיך אתבונן על כן שנאתי כל אורח שקר. אשרי תמימי דרך ההולכים בתורת אדוני, אשרי נוצרי עדותיך בכל לב ידרשוהו, אף לא פעלו עוולה בדרכיו הלכו. אתה ציווית פקודיך לשמור מאוד, אכלי ייכונו דרכי לשמור חוקיך. אז לא אבוש והביטי על כל מצוותיך, עודך ביושר לבב בלומדי משפט צדקך, את חוקיך אשמור, אל תעזבני עד מאוד. שרים רדפוני חינם, ומדוברך פחד ליבי. שש אנוכי על אמרתך כמו צל של רב, שקר שנאתי ואת כתיבת תורתך אהבתי. שבע ביום הללתיך על משפטי צדקך, שלום רב לאוהבי תורתך ואין עמו מכשול, סיברתי לישועתך, אדוני במצוותיך עשיתי, שמרה נפשי עדותיך ואוהבם מאוד, שמרתי פקודיך ועדותיך, כל דרכי נגדך. אשרי תמימי דרך ההולכים בתורת אדוני, אשרי נוצרי עדותיו בכל לב ידרשו, אף לא פעלו עוולה בדרכיו הלכו. אתה ציווית פקודיך לשמור מאוד, אך עלי יקונו דרכי לשמור חוקיך, אז לא אבוש והביטי על כל מצוותיך, עודך ביושר לבב בלומדי משפטי צדקך, את חוקיך אשמור אל תעזבני עד מאוד. The final act of chesed is to help someone in the burial of a loved member of their family. It is the ultimate chesed, what we call the chesed shel emet, because there's nothing we expect in return. It is just a pure act of loving kindness. And at this time, I invite people to help us with filling in the grave, after which we'll be able to conclude this ceremony.
This side if you're going to shovel.
Friends, you can approach either side of the mound. If you're going to use the far side, just please walk around the rope area.
There's another shovel if someone would like to pick it up.
My name's Danielle Shelby. I'm Diane Uris's niece.
Oh,
I'm so sorry for your loss. She's incredible person. Incredible niece. She was there in Dan's hospice. I know she took her last breath. It's very important. My mom and my parents weren't really here. They were in Texas. And I moved down.
she did something.
I mean, I can't express it.
Well, Diane was very special. Diane saved Marsha's life. Literally. She saved Marsha's life. We had said to Diane that she's sister that wasn't blood. The accident in March, but she also
There's another shovel here if someone would like to pick it up.
I think so. It's a little way to go out.
There's another
Check for broken glass and rusty
I know some secret ways in there.
I was having to do it outside.
3 years training.
Literally right go home like today.
I had a black jacket, and then I forgot it was not ready to be worn. Meaning, I forgot to take a good cleaners. So now I have to do Give me a month, then I'll take it. I read the book just ended.
Yeah. No, I know.
הצור תמים פועלו כי כל דרכיו משפט אל אמונה ועיניו אל צדיק וישר הוא. הצור תמים בכל פועל. מי יאמר לו מה תפעל השליט ומטה ומעל ממית ומחיה מוריד שאול ויעל. הצור תמים בכל מעשה. מי יאמר לו מה תעשה? אומר ועושה חסד חינם לנו תעשה ובזכות הנעקד כסה. הקשיבה ועשה. צדיק בכל דרכיו הצור תמים מלא כפיים ומלא רחמים. חמול נא וחוס נא לאבות ובנים כי לך אדון הסליחות והרחמים. צדיק אתה אדוני להמית ולהחיות. אשר בידך פקדום כל רוחות, חלילה לך זיכרוננו למחות ויונה עיניך ברחמים עלינו בכוחות. כי לך אדון הרחמים והסליחות, אדם מן בן שנה יהיה 1000 שנים יחיה מה יתרון לו כי לא היה יהיה. ברוך דיין האמת ממית ומחיה. ברוך הוא כי אמת דינו משלטת הכל בינו משלם לאדם חשבונו ודינו והכל לשמו הודיה ייתנו. ידענו אדוני כי צדק משפטיך. תצדק בדוברך ותזכה בשופטיך ואין להרע אחר מידת שופטיך. צדיק אתה אדוני וישר משפטיך. דיין אמת שופט צדק ואמת. ברוך דיין האמת שכל משפטיו צדק ואמת. נפש כל חי בידיך. צדק מלאה ימינך וידיך. רחם על פליטת צאן עבדיך ותאמר למלאך חרף ידיך. גדול העצה ורב העליה, אשר עיניך פקוחות הכל לדרכי בני אדם, לתת לאיש כדרכיו וכפרים על אליו. להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו, אדוני נתן ואדוני לקח, ישם אדוני מברך. The Lord has given, the Lord has taken. May the Lord's name be blessed. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, והרבה לשיבתו ולא יאר כל חמתו. But he is merciful. He forgives offense and does not destroy. He suppresses his anger again and again and never rouses his full fury. L'chi v'shalom v'tanuchi v'shalom v'tamdi l'goralech l'ketz hayamin. Go in peace, repose in peace, and arise to your ultimate destiny at the end of the days. We'll now recite the Kaddish. It's the long one.
Yiskadal v'yiskadash shmei Rabbah. V'amadihu asid la'is chada ul'achayazah. Me sa'aya ul'as sarta u'chaye olama ul'mibnei karta Yerushalayim ul'sasklel ahachulei begava ul'ma'akar Harkana, Nechura'a, Me'ara, Ba'asva, Ulchaina, B'shamaya, Ba'asra, B'yimlach, Kedusha, Barichu, Ba'al Malchusei, Yikare, B'chayechon, U'chaye, Dechol, Beis Yisrael, Ba'agola, U'izman, Karim, B'imru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach, Le'olam U'mei Omayah. Yisbarach, Yishtabach, Yisba'ar, Yisramam, Yisnaseh. Yishadar, Yishalev, Yishalel, Shmei Kedusha, B'richu. Le'olam Min Kol, B'irchasa, B'shirasa, Tushbechasa, B'nechamasa, Damiran, B'alma, B'imru, Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabbah Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom U'barachamav Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen.
Friends, we're now going to form two aisleways, two shurot, through which the mourners will pass. If everyone could just form two lines facing each other.
Friends, as the mourners pass through, the rabbi will lead us in the words of Hamakom.
המקום ינחם אתכם בתוך שבלי ציון וירושלים. May the Lord comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. The service is now concluded. Just a reminder, Mincha Marav tonight at 10 minutes to 8 and Shachris each morning at 8 o'clock in the morning.
And for those who are online, that information is on the funeral home website. This does conclude our funeral. You may return to your car.